Previously on Capital Color.
It's like, well, if it isn't the war hero, what brings you to my world?
I'd say that our worlds aren't always that too separate. Kind of put my fingers through the book a little bit, and I pull out the picture of Lynette. Now, a man of your perception and connection, more than likely, I would assume this young lady would come to you in the event of protective needs, especially those of the self-protection variety.
He kind of looks around, almost like he's looking for something that might be coming after him or something. He just looks like he's scared, and he just drops it on the floor, and then he kind of looks at you and snickers, and he walks off at a pretty good pace. Do a little bit more analysis on it, and it seems like the half-life of whatever this radiation is measured in weeks. Look, she came to me and she said she needed some money, so I gave her some money, right? I mean, that's what friends do.
I'm sitting here trying to collect my thoughts. My heart's for Jesus, I know that. But there are so many ways that people get in the way. And there are so many ways that people like that get under my skin. But I'm not here for this guy. I'm not here for him. I don't care about the neighborhood dogs. I don't care about this crooked pastor. What I care about is Lynette and finding her.
You maintain your composure and leave the church and get back out to your car and slip inside and take a moment to kind of catch your breath and get your composure together, and you start thinking, okay, where to from here?
And it takes a lot for me to try and get myself back into play here, because this guy was all about the money. This man who supposedly leads the flock was about paying off someone who was willing to swindle them instead of just saying, this person needs my help. This young lady is sick and scared. Needs my help. But didn't do it. So I looked down at my journal, and I pull it out. I don't even remember pulling it out. I've been actually thinking about putting my hands around that guy's neck, but Pastor Williams can wait. So I take out my journal, I flip through the pages, and I think, it's fairly early in the morning, so I think maybe a visit over to the plant, over to Echo, see if maybe there's some folks there who'd be willing to answer some questions. So.
Okay. Well, you have if not a full tank of gas, at least a tank that's not entirely on empty.
A little bit better, yeah.
And you are able to make your way out to the munitions factory without incident. As you pull close, you roll on up, and you see that the entire facility is covered in a chain link fence, and it reaches up towards the sky, and past the chain link you can kind of see the smoky factories of the Navy where Lynette worked, and you see 3 strategically placed booths outside the gate, each with a soldier inside, and each with a machine gun sticking out.
Now, for me, is that odd? I mean, I would think that this is kind of like, it's DC, we're making material. I would think it would need to be under guard, so this isn't really odd, is it?
You don't find this odd, no. This is kind of standard wartime preparation.
And actually, if they're up to what I think they're up to, they probably need as many guards as they're going to get. So, okay. So I'll pull up. Is there a parking lot on the inside, or is there a place to park outside?
There's a dusty dirt parking lot on the outside, and as your car rolls to a stop and rattles a little bit, it's a short walk up to the booth near the gate.
Okay, so I go ahead and walk in, and or walk up and greet them, and nod politely, and is the person there like? Do they seem like a good soldier type, or they look like they're kind of laying about? I can't believe I'm at this duty station, that sort of thing.
They seem pretty aware, and they seem pretty fit and built, and dressed in their camo, their hats, utility belts around their waist, and the one that walks up to you has his rifle slung behind his shoulder, big MP badge on his arm. But you see that the guns in the other two booths are still not pointed at you, but definitely in your general direction.
Okay.
And he looks at you in the eye and says, "State your business."
Well, I was here to inquire about the disappearance of one of the workers here, and I was hoping to get information about some of the folks that were last able to see her.
He reaches under his arm, kind of a crisp gesture, well practiced. Says, "Name?"
Langston Wright.
Scratching pencils. He takes a look at his wrist, notes the time. And who specifically are you here to see?
Well, I'm here to... I guess I would end up talking to the supervisor. That would be above Miss Miller, who I'm looking for. So, sorry, I'm thinking back in my head. That's right. It's a Miss Janet Vincent.
More scribbling on the paper. Expected time of departure?
There's a feeling that kind of comes over me that kind of reminds me of being in the military, that I kind of like stand up a little bit straighter. Not much, but just enough. And I say, I would say at least by 0900. So I'm thinking it's like about 30 minutes from now, something like that.
Scribbles down. It's all right. You may proceed. Miss Vincent, that building over there, to the left.
Thank you kindly, sir. Appreciate your service.
You see the chain on the gate unbuckling, and a couple soldiers opening up double wide gate, and you're able to walk through.
Okay. So, I guess I'm kind of taking in the sights as I go. I'm trying not to, do the whole wandering head thing where I'm like looking around and peering into windows and stuff. But I am trying to kind of get a feel for the place. Like, is there a heightened sense of tension? Is it just, this is busy, 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 we're working, we're supporting the war effort? What's the overall feel of the place?
Yeah, with your evidence gathering experience, you would say you do not feel a sense of tension beyond what would be expected. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have let you in the gate with only a verbal ID and a name.
That's a good point.
So you feel pretty good about that. Looking around, you do see soldiers walking about, going about their business, wearing their combat boots. But as you kind of look down and examine the ground, you also see dozens of like more dress size shoe footprints. Size 7 to 9. You would suspect definitely ladies' footprints, and if that's the case, there would have to be hundreds of women on the base.
And that stands to reason. I mean, I imagine the main building is fairly sizable as far as that goes.
Certainly.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll make my way. I'm not going to make any overt signs that I'm delaying or dallying or anything like that. So.
All right. You walk up to the aforementioned building, and you're greeted by a set of open double doors, about 12 feet tall, and you step inside, and you are greeted by a vista of an enormous building, aircraft hangar size, full of women hard at work. I mean, there's welding, there's sparks going on. You see several tanks being worked on, tanks being assembled, riveting. I mean, the sound is just almost overwhelming, nearly deafening as you take it all in. And there's definitely a sense of urgency in here. These definitely look like people who are under a deadline. And to a certain extent are also enjoying their work. Everybody seems very engaged, very focused on the effort that they're engaged in. A particular woman comes up and starts walking towards you. White woman, early 30s, very professionally dressed. And she kind of comes up, and she's looking down at a stack of papers in her hand, and then she almost runs into you. And she looks up and says, sorry, son, janitors don't come in till the weekend. You're going to have to go.
Apologies, ma'am. My name is Langston Wright. I am here to ask a few questions of the foreman, Miss Janet Hartman.
She kind of looks puzzled and says, well, I'm she.
Oh, well, ma'am, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I wanted to inquire, I'm sorry, Miss Vincent, I wanted to inquire of a Miss Lynette Miller, an employee of yours, up until about, 2 weeks ago or so. I believe she may have been let go due to absence. It's been my assignment to actually look into her disappearance.
Oh, dear. Did something happen to Lynette?
Oh, ma'am, I certainly do hope that is not the case, but I was wondering if maybe you might be able to tell me a little bit about her and perhaps the last time you saw her.
And I'm sorry, what did you say your relationship was with Miss Miller?
I'm a friend of her father's.
Oh. With that, she kind of nods her head like, yeah, that makes sense.
He is a worried sort.
She just kind of looks over her shoulder and says, well, I'm not really at liberty to discuss the affairs of my employees, I'm sure you understand.
Oh, of course. If there's anything that you can maybe perhaps hint at that may help me in finding her whereabouts. I do not wish to know the specifics of the things that she did here, and I know that her diligence in serving our country is something to be applauded. But I am desperate to find out any shred of information that you can provide, so that I can bring some form of information or some kind of closure to her father.
With that, she kind of smiles, and she kind of looks you over, almost a little uncomfortably, like she's checking you out. She said, well, aren't you a flatterer? Yes, we do work really hard here. I have not seen her for 9 days. She just stopped coming to work. It was very surprising. She's always been a very diligent worker, one of my best employees, and that's really about all I know.
Has anybody else come in to inquire about her whereabouts?
No, not at all.
Was there in the last few days before she stopped coming, was there something different about her? I don't want to, again, not to get into any specifics, but did her work quality suffer over the last few days before her departure?
Well, she had been sick. She had mentioned that several times, but it really didn't affect her work. She was so driven. Beyond that, no. I mean, she was excited about going to the, it's kind of embarrassing, going to the Blasco Theater.
Oh.
That is, of course, impossible, but she had talked about that. She was very, very excited, and beyond that, no, I've been supervisor here for, going on a year, and she's always been really solid.
Well, there had been I had spoken with one of her friends, and they had also mentioned that she had taken ill of late, and had, unfortunately, for her, I think it seems it's about the same amount of time since last she saw her as well. Well, I wonder are there any others here that may have, I don't know, become friends with her? I don't wish to sacrifice anything to do with your productivity. I do not want to hinder the war effort. I serve my time, and I know the importance of what you women do. But do you know if there's anybody else who may have befriended young Lynette and may know a little bit more?
Well, you understand, I can't have you wandering around
Oh, no.
asking all my workers. I mean, they all knew her, you know. I don't know that anybody was particularly more friendly than others. I mean, it's an all-women plant here, and when you're in
Of course.
Group of 100% ladies, everybody does tend to get along.
Yes. And I understand. Well, perhaps maybe the one who worked alongside her on the line, maybe she may have had a little bit more time to chat with her, or just in the midst of work, you're next to another person and you talk.
As she answers you, and she says, no, they rotate positions frequently. I mean, there was no one who really worked any closer to it than any others. But as she's saying that, your assess honesty skill pops up, and when she said that it's an all-women plant, you do recall that you've been told that there was some sort of laboratory in the basement,
Right.
and that Walter Adams also worked here, and how she would sneak down and try to see him and stuff. So that just catches your eye as a inconsistency in what's going on. But beyond that, she just pretty much goes on about how there's really no one here that can help you, and that she wishes you the best of luck for in your task.
I understand. So my hand is I have the journal in my hand, and I'm trying to decide if I want to gamble here or not. Can I?
Look,
Oh, go ahead.
I would say that you also recall these were the people that supposedly sent the very odd letter.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Okay.
And so I glance as coolly as I can. I kind of glance about just to make sure no one's taking too undue attention at our conversation. And again, I'm trying to be as obsequious as possible. And I've got my hat off, and that's
There are MPs watching. I mean, watching the entire building, but specifically the stranger.
right.
But they're at a distance.
I guess maybe kind of leveraging. What would I leverage here? Either streetwise or perhaps a little bit of, I guess a little bit of stealth too, because I have my hat in my hand, because obviously I'm not going to wear a hat in front of a lady, much less a white lady. But I have the journal there, and I open to a page that has a picture of Lynette. I'm sorry, I passed the picture with Lynette, and I was thinking about opening it to her, but I open it up to that letter, and I say, ma'am, I just maybe one or two more questions, and I'll alleviate yourself of my presence. This letter happened into the hands of Lynette's father. It was delivered to him in explanation for her departure. And so I'm using my hat to kind of sort of shield the journal and the letter, and I take the letter out and I put it on the cover of the journal, and I hold it open to her so she can see, and I kind of have my hat in this way, and I'm gesturing in this way. Have you ever seen a letter of this type before?
She takes it from you, unfolds it. She kind of scans it over, and then she gets down to the part with her typewritten name. And says, no, absolutely not. We did not send this letter. This is not from me. And she seems very earnest about that.
That's as I was afraid of. Well, actually, to be honest, I was hoping that maybe DC just hadn't agreed with her, and then maybe she did put in for a transfer, and that's what happened. But
oh no, it's ludicrous. We would not send Lynette that far away.
yeah, I'd hold my hand out for the letter and put it back into the journal. Does she seem like she's kind of incensed about it? That maybe the wheels are turning, like who would put my name on something like this?
She seems a little more concerned that now she is more directly involved in this, that there's whatever it is you're doing, there's something with her name on it in your possession. And
now, this is a typed name. This is not your signature, ma'am, but it was being used in such a way. If anything should come up that maybe you might remember, might be of some form of assistance, you can send word to, and I give her the address of the church where Father Thompson is. I said, you can send word here, and it will get to me. Anything that you can think of or remember that, later on after I leave that you might recall.
She's kind of nodding. And at this point, you would have the option to, if you wanted to get more, if there is any more to get from her, you'd need to spend a push on something like flattery or intimidation.
Yeah. I only have one push left, so I'm going to be at 0 at that point. So
problematic.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I feel it's kind of like you're. I'm thinking that I'm in the middle of this. I'm right at the nest, and if I could get one step further in, just short of having to come in here at the evening, that sort of thing. But and then I think back to the bellhop, or not the bellhop, but the waiter's uniform that's waiting for me in the car's trunk. And that maybe that's my angle to get in there and talk with the doctor or something to that effect. Find out more at least. I'll chance it. I'll go ahead and I'll risk the push. I'm gonna put myself to 0 with that. And so I'll say to her, ma'am, that again, I would never in a million years think about using this against you. I'm just trying to find out more, and I can tell that you're a smart lady and powerful in a sense that you're able to handle this entire place. So I guess I'll ask one more time if there's anything that you can think of that might help me find Lynette.
She kind of bites her lower lip and looks around and says, look, there are a few men in the factory, other than the guards, of course. There's 10 scientists downstairs, and they're working on something to do with the rocks or radiation or something. And Lynette was just kind of fascinated with it, right? She'd ask me about it and ask me about it and ask me about it. Finally, I told her, be wise to mind her own business. It's that kind of thing. Just get you in trouble.
Of course.
And truly, that's all I know.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate your candor, and I also appreciate what you did to try and steer her out of trouble. Again, if anything does come to mind or something else occurs to you or you see something, please send word to me at the church.
She kind of nods, and you notice the MPs looking at her facial reaction, and they're starting to take a step forward.
Well, I will thank you kindly for your assistance, and I will leave you for the day. Thank you.
She just kind of nods, and then she does a quick about face and goes in the opposite direction that she was going before you entered her life.
As she continues on, I look after her, and then I look down at my journal. It's closed now, and I slip it back in my pocket, and I'm gonna try and put on. I don't know if I even have this. Trying to what this would be, but kind of like put on airs that I'm disappointed. Like, that there's just, man, just really, like, there's just nothing. And so I turn and I walk kind of dejectedly towards the door and head back out.
Okay. Once the soldiers see your expression and the fact that you're leaving, they just kind of make a slow arc kind of along with you and then return back to their positions once you go out the door.
Okay. And then I steal a tank.
Nice.
I could use a tank. Yeah. So I head back outside. I feel like I could find out more here, but I don't think it's going to happen right now. So,
as you kind of go through those thoughts, getting further into the building, like you're not going to get anywhere during the day, unless you come up with something really brilliant. Coming in at night would probably require some sort of ID. An appointment or something. Alternatively, you do know that Marina often has a lot of resources for things like this. She's very into architecture and that sort of thing. If there were a way in, other than through the front gate, she would be the person that would probably be able to find it out. So that's just kind of what's going through your mind as you're heading back to the car. What your options would be.
That's true. That's a good point. All right. Well, and the other thing, too, is that depending upon what they are doing here, they may have to get some kind of, I don't know, maybe permits, that sort of thing, for the kinds of stuff they might be doing here. I don't know how bureaucratic secret research tends to be, but I can visit her, and then as I slide into the front seat of my car and close the door, I think about Melvin Hartman, my old OSS contact. I wonder if maybe he might have some insights into this as well.
It's possible. He does have a lot of contacts on what's going on. He wouldn't be as useful for the building itself, but he'd be more up on current events. Yeah,
if there may be something in the works that may have similar side effects, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
the event that she mentioned at the Blasco Center, is happening tonight. That's what you have the uniform for.
Yeah. That's going to be, it's a few hours from now, so I don't want to miss out on any opportunities to do some more digging. So, so I'll start up Old Adelaide and pull out and head onto the road. I'll head over to the Department of Agriculture, see if I can't meet up with Myrna. See what she might be able to tell me.
You'll know she'll be there because she's always there.
That's true.
You pull into a visitor's parking spot, and you've been here several times before, and you're familiar with most of the guards at the front, and they just kind of look up and nod and wave politely. And you make your way up to her office, and she has a young secretary, but who apparently is out right now. And her door stands kind of ajar, but you hear some rustling and going on inside there.
And she took it upon herself to just basically take care of me.
You saved her fiancé?
Yeah. It was close. It was close.
Means you enter her office kind of with a sense of sadness, but also gratitude that's kind of on your face as you step through the door. And she takes one look at you and says, she puts down a stack of papers and crosses her arms. What have you gotten yourself into this time?
Well, there's this girl. Now, before you say anything, I know, I ain't been drinking. Ain't none of that happening. So I'm like,
you never learn.
I'm like taking off my hat and putting it on a hat rack and taking off my coat and putting it on the rack as well. And I slip out the journal there. There's a girl that's missing. Had a fella, old army vet, to come by and ask about, where she gone, that sort of thing. And she'd been gone at least 9 days, if not more. But she works over at that munitions plant, Echo, a couple miles down. And I went and talked with the supervisor there. Said that she hadn't been showing up for work for about 9 days. Again, kind of syncs up with what folks have been saying she'd been gone for. But there's something else maybe going on there. And I flip open a few pages into the journal, and I look at the notes that I got from talking with Alicia, and I look at the notes that are specific to Lynette, what was actually written down in her diary about getting sick, that sort of thing. And I say, well, she whatever's going on there. And I look back at the door, and I go ahead and I close it, and then I ask, I kind of look towards one of the chairs to see if it's okay to sit down.
She gestures, and she kind of sits on the corner of her desk.
So I take a load off, and whatever's going on there, it ain't right. There's something that got her sick, something that took her ill. And whatever it is, I think it has to do with whatever these scientists are doing over there. It's about 10 of them. Now, I know you don't know specifics about things like, what they might be working on, but I don't know, they're looking to getting any kind of special permits over there at Echo, underground stuff, that type of thing, like they need basements or something, or...
She kind of looks into your eyes as you're speaking, and her little kind of tight-lipped smile just turns down a little bit, and she says, "You're really serious about this, aren't you? You're just not chasing a cute skirt this time."
No, man, I ain't. It's, I don't know, I'm taking it personal, I guess. The old fella, Mr. Miller, came by. He a World War I vet, lost a leg. I've seen the desperation in his eyes. I've seen it before. When folks missing. I think about my brothers. I think about a lot of folk. I don't know. There's something different. Someone purposely is trying to hide where she went. And I take out the letter, and then I'm saying they sent a letter to him saying that she transferred. But nobody else has seen her transfer. Even the supervisor said she just stopped showing up.
That she kind of stands up and smooths out her skirt and walks over to the door, opens it up, and says, "Casey?" She kind of huffs. She walks out to the outer door, yells down the hall, "Casey, get down here!" And you hear kind of the shuffling of some shoes. They come down the hall. Sounds like high heels. "Darnation, girl, you spend more time in the bathroom than any 4 girls I know." She takes out a little pad of paper, and she writes an address down on it. "You take this down to Bill, down at the planning department, okay? You tell him I need the public plans for this particular building delivered up here ASAP, right? Now, I mean ASAP, and you tell him that he knows what that means." And she's just kind of nodding. She says, "Go, go, 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 go." And the girl kind of hustles off. She closes the door and shakes her head and comes back in. Says, "Let me get you a drink. Won't be long." And she goes over and fixes you a glass of a whiskey. It happens to be your favorite brand. And you recall back that before your return, she never had that particular brand in the office.
You've been shopping lately, huh?
Well, I do like to have a variety of options available. But you know that she bought it just for you. And a few minutes later, as you're enjoying your drink, Casey comes in, and she's got some big rolls of paper in her hand in cardboard tubes. And Myrna goes over and takes them and clears off a spot on her desk and flattens them out. And you kind of take a look over her shoulder, and you recognize the Echo base that you were just at in the munitions building that you were just in. And she kind of looks it over, and she kind of runs her finger along the fence on the outside of the compound, And she kind of goes over to the Potomac, runs her finger along that, and then she kind of leans in and looks closer at the building itself. And she says, "Yes, look here and look here." And she points to a couple thin lines in the diagram. Hadn't even noticed before. And he says, "See those?
Mm-hmm.
Those are support beams. That's way more than would be necessary. Yeah, this building definitely has a basement. No doubt about it." He says, "But look how close it is to the Potomac. There's only going to be one level down. Wouldn't have far down to go." And she can also kind of take a look and say they'd post guards here. They'd post another guard over here, and they'd probably have two wandering down this main hall. She's kind of sketching down some notes. And she kind of turns her nose up a bit at how blocky the building is, and has some comments for the aesthetics of the building, and that it really wouldn't cost any more to make the building substantially more attractive and appealing, and the effect that has on the morale of the troops. But by the time she's done, she says, "And over here, I'm going to regret telling you this. This is a drainage pipe.
I don't want to. Oh.
Not for your sake, not for mine. Silly man. As if you're going to get me in trouble. This is a drainage pipe. If worse came to worse, and you really wanted to get inside and not through the front door, this is how you do it." She rips the piece of paper off the tablet and folds it in half and hands it to you. And then she looks down at the tablet and grabs the next 5 sheets and kind of methodically starts tearing them into very small shreds.
Clever girl.
Don't make me regret this, Langston.
I know. I'll be careful. And I think maybe about that time I get up and I go and I rest the drink over on the bureau, and I know she probably, I know she's perceptive, so she probably sees the gun that's in my waistband. And then I go over and get my jacket. I don't want to put you in no spot, so thank you.
She comes over and takes you by the hands, and she kind of steps up on her tippy toes over high shoes and gives you a quick kiss on the cheek. And she turns you around and pushes you out the door because she doesn't want you to see her getting misty-eyed.
Say hi to Hal for me.
Will do. She closes the door.
All right. So I stuff all the material into my coat pocket and head on out. How far is the office of OSS from here? I wonder if maybe I might have time to go see Melvin.
Not too terribly far away. It's kind of in the same district. It did take a while to get those plans up and then do the look, so you can get a little closer to noon.
Okay, I gotta watch my time. What time is that event tonight?
As part of the wait staff, you need to be there at 6 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, yeah, let's go and pay him a visit. So I'll climb in the car and check my watch, and then head on over.
All right. Yeah, you head on over and go through a similar scenario where there are people who are very familiar with your comings and goings, and one of them is kind of a younger officer, and he almost like looks up to you like, "Oh, it's the private eye. That's cool. It's the war hero." A young black man who has obviously heard of your story and is an admirer, but he's a little too nervous to come up and talk to you.
How you doing, kid?
Very well, sir. Very well.
Good.
Have a good day, sir.
You too. Stay out of trouble.
And you make your way up to Melvin Hartman's office, and he greets you warmly. "Langston, good to see you again so soon. Not in my bathrobe this time."
Well, I thought I might...
I can put it on for you if you like.
No.
Might get me kicked out of the army, though. He pats you on the shoulder and laughs.
Yeah, gotta be particular about where you wear your bathrobes now. So, listen, gotta got a couple questions for you. I don't know if you got a few minutes. Maybe I can run a few things by you.
Don't be crazy, son. Come on in. Sit down. He sits down behind his big oaken desk. You sit down in a pretty plush chair, and you see a flag in the corner and pictures of his former units and various engagements kind of scattered throughout the room. He says, "What can I do you for?"
Well, wonder if you still got them micro spectacles of yours. You know how you like to look at things sometimes. Got something.
You like to keep my eye on things.
Got something you might like to look at. So I pull out that letter again, and I said, "You gotta be careful with it. It's quite fragile right now, but it's been exposed to some kind of chemical. Caused it to bleach and age somewhat." So I turn it onto its back and I hand it to him, or onto its front, so that kind of the back is up. What do you make of it?
He kind of looks it over and, well, Janet Vincent. Janet Vincent doesn't ring a bell. I don't know. The paper's kind of weird. That's more your thing than mine. What happened to it?
Well, funny you should ask. So, I'm kind of like, with him and I, it's kind of like this, almost like a competition back and forth when it comes to investigations and stuff. So we always like to kind of pit our heads together to help and then also to compete somewhat.
Sure.
And I tell him, well, have a listen to this. And so I take off the satchel that's on my shoulder and I rest it and I pull the Geiger counter out and I flip it on and then let it kind of run over the paper a bit and it starts crackling and everything and reacting to it. This thing
kind of looks up and raises an eyebrow as if, I know you wouldn't give this to me if it was dangerous.
No, not at all. It's now I know chemistry's my thing, granted, but this paper's been exposed to some form of radioactivity, and in fact, it's got some form of radioactivity that's got a half-life in years, or in weeks, not in years. Now, this letter was given to my client to explain the movements of his daughter, but it doesn't jive with anything that's going on in reality. This woman's been sick, and she's disappeared.
Oh, son, what have you got your nose stuck in this time?
So I'm kind of folding the Geiger counter back into the bag, and then I put the letter back.
Well, what can I do to help?
Well,
He kind of smiles. He's kind of amused by the antics that you get yourself into.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe you or one of your contacts might know of something going on over at the Echo munitions plant.
Oh.
Now, I know the basement's there, I know that, and I know there's like 10 scientists there that are doing their thing, but they're doing something weird. And like I tap my coat pocket where I put the letter. I just want to know if maybe you might have an inkling as to what they might be up to.
He sits back in his chair and kind of folds his hands under his chin, kind of looks up, and you're familiar with this behavior from him. It's when he's gathering his thoughts.
Mm-hmm. So I sit back and I like stay quiet because I want to let him work.
Trying to piece things together because he's privy to a large amount of information, and sometimes it takes him a bit to put it all in the right order when he has to bring something up kind of on the spur of the moment. He says, Munitions Plant Echo. I remember that. It was a couple months ago. 3, maybe? Yeah, 3. That there was a meteor shower. And some boys got called out just to go make sure it wasn't an off-target Barman raid or the commies or the Jerrys or who knows what. And there was a meteor shower, and the meteorites hit outside town, and they were delivered to Navy Munitions Plant Echo. They were going to be researched, and they called in a scientist. What was his name? Young kid.
Wasn't a Russian, was it?
No, we wouldn't let the Ruskies anywhere near it. Adams.
Walter Adams?
He looks up at you. I do believe it was. Anyway, they took the meteors over there to for analysis, and he goes up and he goes through over to a big file cabinet and goes 3 doors down and 2 doors over and pulls it open and flips through some folder with his finger. It was like 3 months ago. Echo. Pulls it open and pulls open a file, and it takes him a couple minutes. He's leafing through it. Yeah, Walter Adams, Professor Walter Adams. He had a visitor that raised a flag because of a Russian surname and frequency of visits. Form 86B dash. Here it is, Boris. Boris Podolsky.
I kind of grin at him.
He slams the folder shut and sticks it back in the correct spot and sits it down. Boris Podolsky was investigated, American citizen, 3 generation, and was just a visitor in a normally large number of times. That usually means that the person in charge wants help, doesn't want to admit they want help. Fairly standard.
He's an American citizen, yeah?
Correct. Sits down. Do we have a problem?
Well, what's his specialty? Is it
radioactive energy?
Well, I have a feeling that my disappeared nightingale may have stumbled upon something.
Well, what would a missing girl have to do with some rock that fell from outer space?
Well, if I look around, like I'm expecting there to be recording devices everywhere, that sort of thing. This just between you and I?
Of course.
She was involved with one of them doctors, Professor Adams. He fancied her, and she fancied him in her own way. I'm wondering if maybe she saw a little too much of what the doctor was getting up to.
He sits back in his chair and folds his hands in the way of that means that he's trying to make a decision. He says, well, that's sketchy to go con, if every time a young lady went missing and was seeing a man she probably shouldn't have been, if I called in the hounds, pretty soon the hounds will stop coming. But I know you got a good head on your shoulders, so you do need to dig into this, and if there's something that is of danger to the U.S. of A., you need to let me know as soon as possible. Do you understand?
Yeah, there's something. I didn't make much of it, but it was in Lynette's journal, and then it was the girl I'm looking for, and then it was also something that her friend mentioned. That if Lynette was exposed to something, caused her to take sick, one of the things she mentioned in her journal was seeing things.
What kind of things?
Like rainbows in the night, that sort of thing. I mean, it made me think of a few times I've looked too close into a flashbang and, just kind of dazzles the eyes, that sort of thing. Or muzzle flash is, going to stun you. But,
so you think she was sick enough that she was starting to hallucinate?
Well, yeah, but, I can get that. I get that with it's such new stuff, man, with this radioactivity and what it does to the body. The chemistry's all there, and we know it's bad, but we don't know the specifics of everything that it'll do. But, I can understand maybe her getting some hallucinations, but then this Alicia, her friend, I don't think she was exposed to the same thing, but she started seeing the same thing too. She don't look sick, but I don't know, in my business, you don't see a lot of coincidences that don't mandate a little bit more attention.
Well, that is peculiar.
My worry is there's something going around.
So what's your next move?
Well, I'll do a little bit more digging. Kind of do a little behind the scenes perceptivity, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll see what I can dig up. But somehow I think this Russian and that scientist, Professor Adams, somehow they're at the heart of it somehow.
Well, I want you to keep me in the loop on this one, if you'd be so kind.
Sure, absolutely. And if maybe you can put an ear out on any reports of strange sightings. Usually it has to do with like weird colors, like rainbows, that sort of thing, or dazzling lights, that sort of thing. I know it's a stretch, but if it comes,
his mood kind of lightens. Says, sure, I'll keep an eye out for unicorns and pixies. Anything else you want me to watch for? Anything other than rainbows? You want the wizard? Follow the other brick road, son.
Well, if them rainbows are going along with rapid weight loss and the loss of hair, then yeah, we may want to have a deeper look.
That he kind of serious up back again and says, all right, I'll keep an eye out for your Walter Adams boy. They're all getting together at that fancy war bond shindig over at the what's the place?
I give him a sly grin. I said, yeah, come to think of it, I heard about the same thing.
I thought that you might have. You're in way deep on this.
Yeah, not yet. I'll let you know if I need you to go get my old French hip waders.
Let me know if you need a way out of jail.
That too. So I'll stand up and I'll shake his hand and make my way out.
Yeah, he walks you out. You take care of yourself.
Will do. You do the same. So I step out, check my watch. What are we looking at?
It's coming up a little past 1. Okay. The only other thing that occurred to you when you were talking about the meteorite striking outside of town is that the area that they described as it striking, from your military training that's pretty close to the coordinates that were written in Lynette's journal.
Oh, that's right. Player memory.
It's been a couple weeks.
That's true. So I stop and I think about it. I'm like, oh man, that's right. Coordinates. So it's like I open up that journal. I'm back in my car again, my mobile office, and I start looking through those notes again, and I see those numbers, see those coordinates. Why would she have them? Why would she have them written in her journal? Doesn't make any sense. All right.
You are kind of brought out of your ponderings by the fact that you glance into your rearview mirror and look and see a smiling face wearing a hat staring back from your back seat.
My hand's like halfway to my gun before I stop.
You feel a bulge pressing your back through the seat and says, I wouldn't do that if I were you, son.
Who is this? Do I know him?
You've never seen him before in your life.
Seems you
Langston?
have me at a disadvantage.
Langston Montgomery Wright. I've got some questions for you. Now, are we going to do this? Oh, put those hands up. Are we going to do this the easy way, or are we going to do this the hard way today, son?
He's a white fella?
It's a white fella.
Oh, sir, I always would seek to do things the easy way as best as possible.
All right. How about you take your left hand and very slowly open up the door and step out, keeping your other hand in my field of view at all times.
Is he acting like a cop?
Yeah.
Alright, so I do so.
You step out. I assume you don't give him any trouble.
No.
He steps out behind you and keeps a good couple steps away from you, and says, "Thank you for making this easy." And he replaces his gun in a shoulder holster. He says, "I see that heater you got there. Certainly going to be a problem, is it?"
Not at all, officer. Man has to protect himself in my line of work.
All right. So, I do have you in a disadvantage in that I know your name, but I need some more details. What is your address?
I go ahead and I give him my address.
Uh-huh. And,
Because I get the feeling he's confirming it, right? Like he already knows. Or at least that's what I'm thinking.
it's very possible. But you don't ask him who he is or anything like that? You just...
Well, I'm kind of like looking at him and I say, well, perhaps you would like to alleviate the disadvantage a bit. May I know who you are, officer? Or should I say detective?
He smiles and he reaches into his coat pocket, and which he's wearing despite the heat, and pulls out a leather wallet, flips it open. Special Agent David Ellison, FBI.
I can't withhold myself as I curse silently or quietly under my breath.
He holds his credentials up in front of your face, giving you a few seconds to peruse them. You're not a forger by any means, but it certainly looks official. He places it back and takes a yellow pad out of his pocket. You went to Navy Munitions Plant Echo today.
I did, sir.
Why?
I am searching for a missing woman. If you know who I am, then you probably know the... and if you work for the FBI, then you already know the license I carry for the type of business that I conduct.
And who is this missing woman?
I'm thinking for a moment about that old man and hoping not everything's about to dry up here. Her name's Lynette Miller.
He writes that down. And she your girlfriend?
No, sir.
Then why are you looking for her?
Well, as I said, you know my business.
Oh, so you did say. So this is a case.
Yes, sir.
And it just happened to take you to Navy Munitions Plant Echo today.
Yes, sir. Why, was there a special festivity that I missed out on? And I bite my tongue right immediately after I said that. I'm like, jeez.
A special festivity?
Well, you said on this particular day it makes this day sound special, sir.
Does it now? Kind of looks at you and says, well, suppose Special Agent David Ellison at the FBI were to tell you time to walk away. What would be your reaction to that?
I'd ask this particular special agent if he had information about young Miss Miller's whereabouts so that I can assuage the grieving father.
No idea where the girl is. Honestly, never heard of her.
So this is a special agent errand that you're on.
This is a case that's been working on for some time that has the special attention of the big man. Do you know who the big man is?
I look up. Sure, I know the big man.
That's right. J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh,
And if he's interested in something and you don't work for him, it's best that you're not interested in it too. Know what I mean? So, last question. What were you doing at that base? Did you see anything strange?
Other than not a lot of help from the supervisor. No. When I was at the base, I did not see anything strange. And that technically is the truth, so I feel pretty good about saying it.
He just shakes his head. Says, you're an interesting wild card. He takes a card out of his wallet and a pencil, and he writes a number on the back and hands it to you and says, if you know anything that you think of later, give us a call. Let us know. Otherwise, I recommend for your own safety, stay out of this.
You mind, sir, if I, I'm sorry, Special Agent, if I may ask you a couple of questions? Not specific about the case, just about common interest items.
Can't hurt.
Thank you kindly. Now, if you're saying that the big man is paying attention to this, do you stand to gain something if this particular case were to break open on your watch?
I get the honor of serving my country. To date, I've got a closing record of 9 out of 12 cases. Best in the Bureau. Doesn't hurt to make it 10 out of 13.
So I'm trying to kind of like assess honesty and like work on my cop talk. I'm trying to like use a bit of flattery here and there, but I mean, is he smarmy or is he, ambitious? Maybe I can kind of appeal to that ambition to do.
Yeah, with your cop talk, you would say that he is not swarmy.
That's good.
It's clear that if he wanted you out of the picture, he could arrest you, no problem. He could
Oh, sure, yeah. And that's why I'm kind of feeling froggy about this, like maybe trying something.
Yeah. So he's telling you to stay out of it, but he's not just cuffing you and throwing you in a hole to rot forever.
Right.
You would say that this is a man that does care about justice and does care about his duty. And you don't feel that you're necessarily being taken too seriously. He probably thinks that he can toss, he can do some name dropping and wave a badge in your face and scare you off and just have you out of the way. It would take maybe some inspiration or something to change his mind about that.
Yeah, I kind of tip my hat up a little bit, and I have the beginnings of a grin, but I stop because I don't want him to think that I'm trying to, just shine him on. But I see an opportunity, so I'm going to try it. So I say, well, and what was his name again? I forgot. I apologize.
Special Agent David Ellison.
Ellison, let me take a note here real quick. This is what happens when you're doing too much technical stuff. All right. Special Agent Ellison. Seems to me that I may be able to find certain bits of information that might be, beneath your regular purviews. And I'd like to help you in the larger case, because I have a feeling that while young Miss Miller's life is important, there's something larger that I'm missing, but you aren't. So if whatever I can do to find Miss Miller will help you in your case. Of course, all the credit is yours, even saving this young girl's life if we can. That's my goal, is to save this girl's life. That's what I want to do.
He starts writing down a couple notes as you're speaking.
Now, in the interest of this, of sharing some information, in the course of my duties the last couple of days, I was able to uncover a couple of names that might be of interest to you in your investigation. And this is just a way for me to prove my... Look, Agent, I served this country for a few years in the war, took some shrapnel for it, and I don't regret a single minute of supporting this country. I know who I am. I know what I am in the eyes of most people. But I do know that I am a patriot. And one of the folks that I've heard has been near this plant, near Echo, is a Russian. Now, he's said he's a citizen, or at least it's been said that he's a citizen. A man by the name of Boris Podolsky. Some kind of expert helping out the scientists here, but it might be worth your time to try and take a look into it.
His head definitely snaps up at the mention of a Russian, and he kind of looks at you like he's taking a second look. Like, it's very interesting, and I can tell that you are a patriot. Ex-Army?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought so. Look, I can't tell you much. I don't think it has anything to do with you, girl. But I've been in that basement, and I don't know what I saw, but I saw some things that I can't rightly explain. But I know it's dangerous. And in exchange for the kindness that you've given me, sharing this information, in exchange, I want to warn you. Be careful about what's down there.
There's a feeling of like genuine concern that's on my face. I mean, it's pretty plain.
He looks at his watch and says, "Be careful about what's down there." And he pats you on the arm and puts a hand on your shoulder. And with that, he turns around and walks away.
Ellison,
He stops, doesn't turn around.
be careful yourself, man. If what I've heard is true, there's a sickness that comes along with that basement. Mind your health, all right?
He kind of turns his head to kind of look at you out of his peripheral vision. One quick nod, and then he keeps walking.
There's like a sick, like, turning going on in my stomach. I'm like, oh man, there's a part of me that's saying like, man, the guy's okay. Obviously, like you said, he could have rousted me out and thrown me in a paddy wagon or whatever. But at the same time, this guy's a patriot, and I don't even know if he understands the kind of danger he might have put himself in, if that's the case. And then I look down at my shoes, and then I like tilt my hat forward, and then I kind of say to myself, oh, what kind of fool thing you think you're going to be doing tonight? And I climb into the car and sit down and take a breath. Look over my shoulder and into the back seat again. Like,
No one back there.
all right. I go ahead and I start the engine and get going.
All right. Car starts right up.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think this is a great opportunity to take a brief or take a break between episodes for session 2. So I want to first off say fantastic job
Oh, you as well.
Getting into this, man. It's for those at home, this has been 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks since the last time we played our games. So I've been like biding my time, wanting to get back into this mystery and find out what's going on. So thankfully, you all will not have to wait as long. But next Friday, the follow-up episode to this and potentially the conclusion will air. But up until that point, thanks for stopping by. We hope you enjoyed the show, and special thanks to Cthulhu Confidential writers from Pelgrane Press for putting this wonderful game together, and then huge thanks to Brent for running this game.
And you for doing everything else.
No worries. I'm glad it's a labor of love, man. I'm telling you. Well, all right, everybody. Well, thanks again for stopping by. Thanks for watching. We will have our next episode out next Friday.
Yeah.